that immediately there's a problem. The workers are struggling to build the rings. The huge concrete lifters have to be controlled down to the millimeter using tiny joysticks. Malaysian engineer Ang Hao Wei has to keep the men on schedule.
I mean, the first time we didn't know what to do actually. We just follow what they asked us to do. It took about 3 hours for one ring build.
At that pace, the project would take almost 3 years longer than expected and run millions of dollars over budget. And that's not the only risk. Boring these leviathans just meters below the city streets could cause a major catastrophe. Anywhere in the world, a giant dual-purpose tunnel for stormwater and traffic. If a flash flood strikes, the roadways inside the tunnel could transform into emergency water channels to help steer the surge safely under the city and spare its racing economy above. 20 meters under Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Senior Project Manager Gus Clados is under pressure to complete the smart tunnel before the next crippling storm. But his workers are still struggling with the materials and machines. Ahead, the giant drill is already in motion, grinding steadily forward. Behind, concrete segments are on their way to the TBM.
One segment is 10 metric tons, and it is lifted by vacuum only.
Giant hydraulic arms swing the segments into place. It takes 8 segments to build each ring. Just like in an arch, there's a keystone that holds everything together. Using the power of suction, the lifters raise and position each segment down to the millimeter. Make one mistake, and the tunnel lining could crack. Above ground, 2 special fabrication plants are also in full swing, building the concrete segments. Each one contains more than 300 kilograms of steel rebar. They're held together with high-grade concrete, the kind used to build bomb-proof bunkers. The tunnel lining needs to be strong enough to handle the load of a double-deck motorway and 1 billion liters of raging water. At maximum speed, the plants can turn out more than 1,000 segments a week to feed the teams working both the north and south tunnels. Back in the TBM, the workers have finally mastered the machines, and the Smart is on schedule. Now, it's a race to build faster and faster.
We are always competing with each other for the ring build. If they build 6 rings, we have to build 7. Okay, if they build 7, we have to try for 8, of course.
While speed is important to the tunnelers, the project's engineers have other worries on their minds. Kuala Lumpur lies on some of the most treacherous ground on the planet. It's a tunnel engineer's worst nightmare, a condition geologists call karst topography. Over millions of years, acid in rainwater has slowly eaten away at the limestone bedrock. The result is a vast underground landscape of cliffs, cavities, and fissures, ranging in size from tiny cracks to colossal caves. In Kuala Lumpur, most people don't know they're there until they collapse and bring down the city with them. From the start, engineers knew that building the Smart would require sending the tunnelers and their machines straight into this underground minefield. The stakes are huge. If one of the giant drills hits a large, unstable cavern, it could trigger a monstrous sinkhole. Wherever they occur, sinkholes can come in all shapes and sizes. This one in Guatemala was 40 meters wide. It sucked down houses and killed 3 people. It wasn't caused by tunneling. It occurred suddenly after a major rainstorm. If a sinkhole this large happens in Kuala Lumpur, the results could be catastrophic. It's not the first time engineers have faced this danger. Rewind to 1992. Plans are underway to build the Petronas Twin Towers on a site in downtown Kuala Lumpur. They would be 88 stories tall, the highest twin towers in the world. Together, their concrete and steel would weigh more than 400,000 metric tons. Place that much weight on unstable ground, and the results could be disastrous. So before construction began, geologists launched a massive site survey. And luckily, they made a crucial discovery. Under the planned site was a giant limestone cliff that could have caused the towers above to sink and even collapse. The original site had to be moved 60 meters. But building the smart tunnel would be much more complicated. The Twin Towers rested on just over 18,000 square meters of ground, an area small enough to survey completely before construction started. SMART, on the other hand, has a 10-kilometer-long footprint. Its site covers almost 7 times as much ground as the Twin Towers. Surveying every single inch of this much earth isn't an option. To reduce the risk of collapse, geologists have to probe constantly ahead of the TBMs.
We were probing ahead of the machine, and we were always looking for solution features which were large enough to allow the machine to drop into or tip into, because it would have stopped tunneling for months.
Whenever the surveyors hit a cavity, they pump it full of concrete-based grout. But karst cavities can be less than a meter wide, making it nearly impossible to locate every one along the tunnel's entire route. SMART's long underground journey meant that the tunnelers would face new risks every single day, month after month, for almost 3 years. With so much at stake, the choice of TBMs was critical. The way most tunnel boring machines work is surprisingly simple. The cutter head at the front grinds through soil and rock, much like a household drill. The resulting waste is then loaded on wagons and carried out of the tunnel. This kind of TBM is designed for solid ground. If the drill hits weak cavities, like those under Kuala Lumpur, the earth could cave in on the cutter head. A big enough collapse could even suck the TBM down with it. The TBMs chosen for SMART are specially armed. Their advantage is a sealed high-pressure chamber at the head of the drill. This is pumped full of liquid called